Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, good morning. Welcome everyone. Thank you all for joining. Today, high school students who have been studying chapter 5, Karma Yoga and Krishna Consciousness, will be presenting their understanding and learnings on this chapter. So the first team that will be presenting today is Samanyu and Shri. Together we'll be presenting on this chapter. So take it over. I will give you all share permissions and then you can get started. Thank you.
Hare Krishna everyone. This is our take on chapter 5 of the Bhagavad Gita, Karma Yoga. We won't be going through every single verse, but we'll just touch on the main points. So the verse starts off with Arjuna asking Krishna a question. And Arjuna is asking what is better, because in the previous verse, Krishna explains two types of work, or one is to renounce work and one is to not perform work without worrying about perform work in the mode of devotion. So now Arjuna is confused on what exactly is better. And then Krishna replies in verse 2 by explaining how work in devotion is better, even though both are good, work in devotion is better. And he'll explain throughout the entire chapter why.
Okay, so these two verses, 5.3 and 5.6, they share similar things. So 5.3 basically clarifies the misconception that renouncing work is not just doing nothing. He's like, yeah, you have to perform work, but you don't want to desire the results of your activities. And this helps you overcome some dualities. Dualities are like opposites of another, like success and failure, birth and death, and like happiness and sadness. And then 5.6 also says similar thing. It says merely renouncing all activities, yet not engaging in devotional service to the Lord cannot make one happy. And this explains that devotional service actually makes Krishna happy and not just not doing anything.
So in 5.7, Krishna explains that in devotion, uh, a man is never entangled to material desires or the senses or anything like that. And basically explains here that with devotional service, you can control the senses. And this kind of refers back to the chariot, the driver, and the horses. The horses are like the senses, and the person who drives the chariot is the intelligence. So devotional service will help us drive those senses like the chariot. And also, Krishna also says that that person will be kind to everyone, and that is because Krishna is in everyone's heart. So if you understand that, you can treat everyone with equal views.
And so, next important verse that we thought was 5.10. And this one explains that when you do not desire the results of your actions, you surrender the results into Krishna. And this means that you're not affected by the results of your actions. And this is similar to how mud does not stick onto lotus flowers, which is like how the actions of your work does not like affect you.
So in this verse, Krishna explains how a person who is not interested in material activities becomes free of their reactions. Um, Here, Prabhupada explains further. He kind of ties into the art of work, 3.30, no claims of proprietorship, where if you're because you are not the doer, you are just Krishna is doing all the actions. So if you are not interested in material activities, if you are not focused on the reactions or the fruits of the activities that come off of every action, then you'll also be free of them as well.
And so another important verse that we felt was verse 5.18, which said that the humble sages, by virtue of true knowledge, see with equal vision a learned and gentle brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog eater. And this verse basically explains that Krishna is Paramatma and he exists in everyone's heart. And these sages know that and they treat everyone with kindness and respect because they know Krishna is in everyone's heart. And the material bodies are made up of different modes of material nature, but the soul is like the super soul, but like it's part and parcel of it. And sages are aware of this, which allows them to view everyone the same way.
So in this verse, Krishna explains what it means to be situated in Brahman, and basically this he explains that you are not affected by dualities. And as Sri said earlier, dualities are just like hot, cold, wind, loss, anger, calm. So, and this is because he sees everything as he's at the highest level of equanimity, meaning he's not affected by the dualities. And this is similar to how an actor, he plays a character, but he's not. He knows that he's not the character. But he tries to act his best as the character. And then Krishna explains the different levels of equanimity, or we discussed this in class. The first level would be that he knows he's the actor, and as a result, he doesn't produce any karma from the actions. The second level would be to tally the good karma and bad karma. And since he knows that there are dualities, it equates to no karma, like negative and positive and things like that. And then the third level would be to try to move all the actions that you've done into modes of goodness or pure goodness, which is goodness in the mode of Krishna. And this will be more equal because you're not really attached to the results as much as before. So our goal is to move from third level to the first level.
Okay, so 5.22. This verse explains that if we get in contact with the material senses, this happens because we participate in sources of misery, and our tasks themselves aren't the source of miseries, but it's how we perceive the tasks as objects or punishment, uh, as enjoyment or punishment. This is like how when your parents are like, go clean your room, you could either enjoy it, like, oh, my room's getting cleaned, or you can view it as a punishment, like, oh my god, my parents are forcing me to clean my room. And there are certain activities that you can't do in the mode of pure goodness, like drugs, smoking, drinking, all that. And usually our actions are decided by society and the people who we associate with. So, like, if we're hanging out with good friends, our actions are usually better. And so, for us, real happiness is to liberate and be graduated from, human beings and reach Krishna. But since it is a rare opportunity for us to be human beings and God conscious, we graduate because there's more to do after graduation. In that sense, Bhakti Yoga says there's more to do after liberation from human beings.
In verse 5.25, Krishna explains about the welfare activities. And this goes into charity. How if the charity you do is all external, you just do it for fame, you do it because you just feel like it, you want to get attention. That's all external and doesn't really touch the soul of people. It doesn't really help them in a meaningful way, especially on the path to um, this, like on a spiritual path. It doesn't really affect them. But if it is Krishna centered, if you're doing it with Krishna in mind, kind of like it refers back to, as you said earlier, 3.30, the art of work, where we have to do all actions in the mode of Krishna. Um, if we do welfare activities similarly in the mode of Krishna, it will touch the soul of the person, and it's also like you're handing that to Krishna. For example, giving prasadam, you could give regular food to people, or you could give prasadam, which helps them materially and spiritually as well. But then again, preaching this knowledge, or just charity in general, you shouldn't do this unless you participate in it yourself. Like you shouldn't give prasadam unless you are taking prasadam yourself, because actions speak louder than words.
And then this verse talks about how to be liberated. So it says you should be free from anger. So you should be able to control your anger and not be too affected by it. Because everybody gets angry, but we should like work on being able to control that. And next, we should be free from material desires. So we should start becoming satisfied with what we have and not like desiring new things every day. And we should prioritize needs over wants. Like, do I really need a new phone or something? If you already have a phone, why do you need a new one? So that's what needs over wants mean. And we should also be self-realized. So we have to understand who we are, and we should understand that we are a part of Krishna. And next one is self-discipline. So we must have proper habits in life, like no drinking or smoking. And this will allow us to grow as a good citizen and ultimately reach Krishna.
Yeah, and another point that this verse explains is, you don't to be liberated. You don't have to die and go to the planet of Krishna, the abode of Krishna. You can be liberated before you die as well. I think that's a common misconception that people have. So in this one, Krishna explains the 8 stages of Ashtanga Yoga, or just Ashtanga Yoga in general. I'm not going to explain every single detail, but just understand in the last few points, the main goal is to meditate on a particular target, or meditate on Krishna specifically, right? Because that's the goal of any yoga. Um, and he explains how there are many types of yogas, but the thing is, yoga is not like education. You don't have to go through first grade, second grade, third grade, all the way to high school and college. You can go directly to the highest level of yoga, or bhakti yoga. And the reason people perform yoga, as I said earlier, is to control their body, their senses, and eventually focus on Krishna, as you can see in the last points of Ashtanga Yoga. So the reason it is hard for us to perform Ashtanga Yoga, or just other yogas other than Bhakti Yoga, is because you need a very quiet surrounding, no distractions or anything. And this is incredibly difficult for us in the Kali Yuga, because there are distractions everywhere. Even if you go to a forest, you're gonna see something that's interesting. Even like forests are getting destroyed, right? So this makes it virtually impossible for us to do.
And this is the last verse in the chapter, and the main idea was like peace. So in this world, everyone wants to attain peace, right? Like no one wants any problems, but they exist, and they prevent us from attaining peace. But so sacrifices are performed to attain certain spiritual benefits, and one way we can attain peace is by knowing that Krishna is the supreme controller. And this is because we don't have to fear or worry, since we know that Krishna will take care of us and he will make sure nothing bad will happen as long as we follow his instructions. And we also know that Krishna is a well-wisher of all living entities, and this can also help us achieve peace. We understand that whatever Krishna does is for our benefit. Like, he controls everything. He knows what's best for us. And we also have to be in full consciousness, meaning we got to follow all of his instructions, not just decide, like, focus on one instruction. Like, do your best and leave the rest. We can't just be like, leave the rest. Like, we can't just ignore the first part of it. We got to understand everything. That means, like, we have to understand the complete essence of Krishna's works. And that
And
was the last slide.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Samanyu and Shri. It was an excellent presentation. You covered all the points, almost all the points, in fact, all the points. And I'm sure you learned in the process the important points because this chapter is similar to Karma Yoga and it teaches and emphasizes very apt for this group, this age group, for all of us who perform activities. We are not sannyasis or we are not people who are meditating in an isolated place. We are people who conduct activities on a daily basis, and these chapters are very essential for us to understand and imbibe those points that we presented. So, the goal of this presentation is, of course, for you all to read through the chapter, pick those important points, and put them together, and also be able to present. And but not at all at the same time for you all also to remember those values and apply them whenever needed. Okay, there are some uh, compliments and constructive feedback that I want to give, but I will do that towards the end of all the presentations. I don't want to distract the people who are going to present in the next few minutes. Okay, I don't want them to be thinking, oh, I didn't do this. So I want to give the constructive feedback and the all the good things that were covered in the end of all the presentations. Okay, thank you. We'll move on to the next set of participants. Who are they?
Ishi and I can go.
All right, go ahead. Thank you.
Auntie Shrika messaged you, right, about not being able to.
Correct. Will you be able to do it on her behalf too, or you need her?
I think it'd be better if I had her because we did one for each verse. So
Next week, okay? All right. Go ahead, Sanvi and Ishi.
For some reason, it's not allowing me to share my screen. Sanvi, can you try?
yeah. Sorry, give me 1 second. Can you see this slideshow?
Yeah, we can see.
So this is our take on Karma Yoga, Action in Krishna Consciousness, which is chapter 5. We basically cover like the main points we collected from each of the different sections that we discussed last class. So,
All right. In the first verse, Arjuna asks the central question to this chapter, and basically he asks which is better because Krishna says for him to renounce his work, and then he says to work in devotion. So he's asking for himself which one is truly better, devotional service, which is karma yoga, or the renunciation of work, which is sannyas.
And Krishna's answer to this is that while both are beneficial, devotional service or karma yoga can be better than the renunciation of work, simply because it is an easier process. And those are basically the main points in the next few verses up till verse 7.
So we summarize all of the main points from each section. So from verses 7 to 16, we found these the most important. One who works in divine consciousness, who is in control of his senses and mind, and knows that it's only his material body engaging with the world, is never entangled. When one performs work without attachment and surrenders the result to Krishna, which is what we learned in the art of work, one does not accumulate any karma, good or bad, and is truly peaceful and happy. Yogis or surrendered persons engage their body, mind, and senses only for purification, not for their own sense gratification. A surrendered soul does not engage in the material world as he is mentally renounced, so the work is only enacted by the modes of material nature. And eternal knowledge is enlightening and destroys the darkness or ignorance that blinds souls, which allows them to see the ultimate truth.
And then these are our takeaways from verses 17 through 29. Most of them talk about the different qualities of a yogi. So a true devotee sees everyone equally, and they're not too happy or too sad at specific results. They also aren't attached to external sense pleasures and find peace within. And they're able to restrain their impulses of desire or anger, which results in true happiness and liberation. And those who do achieve this are seated in the absolute truth and conquer the cycle of birth and death. And sannyasis can also achieve the same through detachment, using the Ashtanga Yoga process, which is explained further in verses 27 and 28. And devotees attain eternal peace by understanding Krishna is in the center. And yeah, that's the end of our presentation.
Oh, that was short and sweet. Thank you. Again, good job with presenting and compiling all the points and going through the chapter and putting them together. Thank you, Ishi and Sanvi. Who will do the next presentation? Anyone prepared for today's presentation? Shravan, Karthik, Akhil, Krish. Okay. So I think what happened, Akhil, can you speak? Karthik, Shravan, can you all speak, please? Let me know if you're prepared or you're not able to unmute. What's going on?
Yeah, Auntie, me and Shravan can go.
Go ahead. Yes. Thank you. Shravan, you there, right?
Yeah, yes, Mataji.
Okay, good.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
So this is our take on chapter 5, Karma Yoga, actually in Krishna consciousness.
So Karma Yoga, it's like one of the 4 yogas, and it's like focused on like attaining like the supreme. It's like it suggests that one should not be bound to the fruits of nature and not focus on material desires, and like it wants like you to make sure like everything you do has like a devotional mindset. And in verse 1 and 2, Arjuna's like conflicted and comes to Lord Krishna with like a concern because Krishna says that both the renunciation of work and working in devotion are good, but like Krishna says that both paths lead to liberation. So it's like he's like, which one should I do? But like Krishna like assures him that working in devotional service is more beneficial.
So in verses 3 to 11, Krishna begins to explain that one who detaches from results and desires will only attain true happiness. And he also says that analytical study and devotional service can be sought out on the same level. And he also says one who controls the mind and all the senses, such as sight, touch, smell, and all of those, will will gain a sense of purification rather than a sense of gratification. In chapter 5, verses 12 to 20, Krishna explains that one who offers the results to the Lord will achieve the divine. He claims people who focus on material knowledge are blind to the true spiritual knowledge that awaits them, and actions caused by the three modes of nature do nothing to advance one's spiritual path. However, if one focuses entirely on the Lord, they'll begin to really experience the true path of liberation.
In verses 21 through 29, the Bhagavad Gita explains that like a person who's concentrated on the Supreme is not diverted by like the pleasures of material nature, and like attaining true happiness is like that you don't like receive from like ignorance and material desires. And like there's a thing called the meditation method where like you should close your eyelids to the point where you can still see your surroundings as you can still sense your dangers and like sense dangers and keep out of distraction.
That's it.
Thank you, Shravan and Karthik. Good job with presenting and studying the chapter. Proud of all of you who presented today for reading through the chapter and compiling the points. Very nice. Who else? Now we have Krish and Akhil. Are you both doing the presentation? Can you speak, Akhil? Krish, are you there? What happened? I'm not hearing them. Akhil, can you speak? And Krish, can you turn on your camera, please?
Yeah, we can do the presentation.
You can do now? Okay, go ahead. First, turn on your cameras. I'm not able to see you both.
Yeah, sorry. 1 second.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare.
I'm just waiting for Chris to join.
I see Krish logged in. Can you, is that Krish only with Vijita name?
Chris said he's having trouble joining. I'm just waiting for him to join so I can start presenting.
You can first show yourself. Turn on your camera first.
Yeah, sorry. 1 second. I'm just trying to fix it.
Guys, you are joining this meeting every Sunday and week every Sunday, correct? And what is there to fix with the camera and the audio? As soon as you log in, you should turn on your cameras, right? I'm going to stop